My name is Cecile McMillan, and I am 32 years old. On a Tuesday that smelled like burnt office coffee and fluorescent dust, my uncle told me I was dead weight. We were in the sterile conference room at Dawson Hayes Manufacturing Solutions. Glass walls, an oak table polished so bright it made everyone look expensive and a little unreal. Uncle Rick, the CEO, sat at the head like a judge who'd already read the verdict. To his left, my father, Thomas Hayes, VP of Operations, eyes glued to his paper cup as if caffeine might explain the universe. Cecile, this isn't working, Rick said, the leather of his chair creaking with satisfaction. Blake's carrying sales. You're administrative support at best. Administrative support. 8 years of building accounts, 3 midnight crisis saves, 1 renewal worth $2.4 million last quarter, and I was a memo in a skirt. Blake hasn't closed a deal in 2 years, I said evenly. I close them. I maintain 70% of our client relationships. That's not what the reports say. Crisp. Practiced. Someone had edited those reports, replacing my name with Blake's, my cousin with unwrinkled suits, and the habit of showing up late to his own success. I looked at my father. He didn't look back. His jaw worked, his shoulders curled. He hid in stillness like a man folding himself into a smaller box. Rick leaned back, pitying. This isn't personal, Cecile. Family is family, but business is business. The market's too competitive to carry dead weight. 8 years of 60-hour weeks. 8 years of sliding my life under a microscope so the company could pretend it had a vision. 8 years of passing mashed potatoes at family dinners while they toasted Blake's natural instincts. Clean out your desk. We're letting you go today. Relief arrived first. Sharp, then strangely warm. No more watching Blake present slides I wrote, wrong-footed on specs I'd memorized in my sleep. No more salary glued at $78,000, while he took home $125,000 plus a BMW to project success he never produced. I stood. Rick waited for tears, for bargaining. Dad waited for me to make it easy. Understood, I said. Their faces flickered, like lights during a storm. My hand found the door. I paused. When Castellano calls next week for their quarterly review, who's explaining the new equipment specs? The ones I spent 3 weeks researching? Rick didn't blink. Blake will handle it. Right, I said, and left. The bullpen hummed with Tuesday noises. Keyboards, phones, Sandra's brave cheerfulness at reception. Eyes slid toward me, then away. I packed 8 years into a cardboard box. The mug Mom bought that said World's Best Daughter. Certificates I'd earned on my own dime. A photo of me at 26, MBA ceremony, grinning like doors would open themselves. Kevin from Ops appeared, cheeks flushed. This is garbage, he said too loudly. Everybody knows who does the work. I'm not going to fight, I told him. You could. Henderson's renewal email has your name in caps. Make Rick eat it. I sealed the box. The tape screamed. I'm going to let them figure it out. In the cool garage, I slid the box into my faithful Honda, no company BMW, no hollow shine, and sat until my phone buzzed. Blake, heard the news. Sorry, cuz, you'll land on your feet. Delete. By 9:47 a.m., I was at my apartment desk, drinking coffee that didn't taste like burnt pennies, typing a short text to Robert Castellano. No longer with Dawson Hayes as of today. Wanted you to hear it from me first. Through my thin wall, Mrs. Chen's TV leaked a panicked voice. Dawson Hayes Manufacturing. This is Jenny. Where's Cecile McMillan? We have questions about the Morrison account. She paper rustled. She no longer works here. Silence. Expensive. Then put me through to Blake Dawson. Pause. Longer. I can take a message. The message is that Morrison is reviewing all vendor relationships. Tell Blake we'll be in touch. I set down my mug. The echo pressed through plaster like a heartbeat. Buzz. Kevin. Morrison called looking for you. Blake took it. Did not go well. Buzz. Unknown number. Text followed. Marcus Webb. Coffee at 11. Have a proposition. Webb Industries. Sunlit glass. A CEO who asked questions like he meant the answers. Before 11, Noah called. My boyfriend. Voice warm as the first good cup of the day. You okay? I looked at the box by the door. Oddly, yeah. Come by after your coffee? I'll make dinner. The good kind, not my tragic omelets. Deal. An Instagram ring glowed. Lena, Noah's ex. Hotel lobby. Clink of glasses. Caption. Some people get ahead on charm, not work. I keep receipts. I laughed. Too short, too harsh. Not today, Lena. At 11:12, I stepped into Marcus Webb's office. Cedar and competence. He rose to meet me. I've wanted this conversation for 3 years, he said. Robert Castellano mentions you in every meeting. Cecile says this. Cecile fixed that crisis. Never Blake, never Rick, always Cecile. It startled me how good that felt. I need a VP of Client Relations, he said. Base $145,000, retention commission, equity after year one. Do hear what you did there. This time get paid for it. He slid a folder over. Offer letter, printed and dated today. One more thing, he added. Castellano's renewal is in 8 weeks. I'm not asking you to poach, but if Robert calls and asks for you, that's not theft, that's gravity. Gravity, falling toward what was honest. Also, he said, dry smile, ignore the online noise. Ambitious women collect ghost critics. Already handled, I said. By late afternoon, my phone lit. Victoria Lim, Castellano's COO. I didn't answer yet. Not strategy, just pleasure in choosing. My timing, my words, my life. On my walk home, the city looked clearer, like someone had cleaned the glass between me and everything else. In a window, I saw myself. Hair pulled back, box under one arm, eyes not broken. Noah texted. At the market. Pasta or salmon? Surprise me, I sent. Brace for greatness. Salmon emoji, knife, inexplicable rocket. Upstairs, Mrs. Chen's TV murmured, reviewing all vendors. The wall was thin, but for once the world sounded like it was saying my name correctly. I set the box down, touched the world's best daughter mug. A joke, a bruise, a hope. I opened Marcus's folder and signed. The pen felt heavier than it looked. Somewhere across town, Uncle Rick was celebrating a solved problem he didn't understand. Somewhere nearby, my father was holding a paper cup and avoiding mirrors. They thought they'd removed dead weight. They hadn't realized I was the beam. The phone began to ring. Victoria. I let it ring twice. Then I answered. Hi, Victoria, I said. I was just thinking about you. Cecile, she replied, relief like wind through a door. We need to talk. I smiled into the quiet. Yes, I said. We do. When I picked up Victoria's call that afternoon, she didn't waste time on small talk. Cecile, I tried calling your office yesterday. They said you're no longer there. What happened? Her tone was sharp, efficient, the voice of someone who'd built empires by knowing exactly who mattered. It was a business decision, I said evenly. They thought Blake was ready to take over. A pause, then a dry laugh. Blake Dawson, the one who asked if our hydraulic press was like a big stapler. You're joking. Afraid not. She exhaled. Our contract renewal's in 8 weeks. Robert won't like surprises. I'm aware, I said, my heart steady. But I'm with Webb Industries now. Marcus Webb runs it. He's good, ethical, and our operations are cleaner than anything Dawson Hayes has done in years. I'll be in touch, she said, voice softening. If Robert asks to meet, I'll make sure he calls you directly. When the line clicked off, I sat there staring at the quiet of my apartment. The weight of her words, Robert will call you directly, sat warm and dangerous in my chest. The next morning, my phone buzzed like it had developed stage fright. Kevin, Morrison accounts falling apart. Blake tried to talk specs and froze. Rick's yelling. Another. Jenny's crying in the bathroom. Everyone knows this is karma. A third, they asked for you, again? I smiled despite myself. Karma didn't need me to lift a finger. It had a schedule. By 11:12, I was in Marcus Webb's office again. Sunlight spilling across glass and steel. The hum of competence everywhere. He stood by the window, coffee in hand, like he'd been expecting me. How's it feel watching your old house of cards collapse? Strange, I admitted. Like watching a fire you didn't start but can't look away from. He chuckled. Good answer. Ready to build something that lasts? I signed your offer, I said, sliding the folder across his desk. Excellent. He motioned toward a chair. Let's get started. Marcus's team felt different. Confident but respectful. No empty charm, no family politics. They asked what I thought. They listened when I answered. That afternoon, he leaned across the table. Castellano's contract renewal. 8 weeks. We're not chasing them, but if they call... I'll handle it, I said. He smiled. I knew you would. That evening, I went to Noah's apartment. He'd made salmon, charred perfectly on the edges. My brain was still running spreadsheets and strategy slides, but he just handed me a glass of wine. You don't have to keep the armor on here, he said softly. I'm fine, I lied. No, you're furious, he corrected, and proud. Both can exist. I looked at him. He knew me better than anyone, the part of me that calculated escape routes even in safety. He reached across this table, brushed my wrist. They lost someone they'll never replace. I know, I said quietly. Later, while he washed dishes, my phone buzzed again. Instagram notification. Lena, Noah's ex. Her story showed a blurry conference badge with my name visible in the background, taken years ago. Caption. Funny how some people earn promotions. I froze, then laughed out loud. It was so transparent, a desperate reach to stay relevant in a story she'd been written out of. Still, I could feel the faint tremor of irritation under my skin. She'd always been skilled at weaponizing insinuation, a soft-spoken cruelty dressed as honesty. Noah saw my face. What is it? Nothing worth feeding, I said, sliding my phone away. Just a ghost from your past trying to haunt my notifications. He nodded, then dried his hands. Let her fade. But Lena didn't fade, not yet. By the weekend, Kevin texted again. Rick's panicking. Blake's crashing. The Morrison rep asked why you weren't on the call. I think they're about to cancel. A minute later, another message. Your dad looks sick. He's avoiding everyone. I put my phone down and went to stand by my window. Across the street, kids were playing soccer in a narrow lot, their laughter echoing off the walls. It was odd the way success and sadness could live side by side. I didn't want Dawson Hayes destroyed. Just honest. But maybe truth always feels like ruin to those who built their lives on lies. The following Monday, Marcus called me into his office again. I've got something for you, he said, handing me a folder labeled Client Transition Plan. Inside were names I knew. Morrison, Apex, even Henderson, all exploring new vendors. These companies reached out after hearing you left Dawson Hayes, Marcus said. They're testing the waters. So they're calling us? He smiled. They're calling you. Web Industries just happens to answer the phone. I stared at the list. It wasn't poaching. It was gravity again. Inevitable. Precise. When do I start making calls? I asked. You already did, Marcus said, leaning back. The day you walked out of that building. He was right. My reputation had legs. That night, Noah and I sat on his couch watching a movie neither of us were paying attention to. My mind was racing with spreadsheets, growth charts, projections. You're doing it again, he said, smiling. What? Thinking 5 moves ahead. Old habits, I said. I used to plan for Blake's mistakes before they even happened. He tilted his head. Now you're planning your own wins. A soft silence settled. For the first time in years, I realized I wasn't bracing for something to go wrong. Then my phone vibrated again. Unknown number. I didn't answer, but the voicemail transcription flashed across the screen. Rick Dawson. Cecile, call me back immediately. We need to talk about Castellano. I smiled, slow and certain. The dominoes had started to fall, and I wasn't going to stop them. By Tuesday morning, my inbox was a quiet storm. Subject lines from old clients stacked like falling dominoes. Need your insight. Are you available for consultation? Heard you joined Web Industries. I hadn't even replied yet. The tide was coming in on its own. At 10:07 a.m., the call came. Victoria Lim, COO of Castellano Industries. Sharp, precise. The kind of woman who never called twice unless it mattered. Cecile, she said, Robert wants to talk directly. He's displeased with the changes at Dawson Hayes. I turned in my chair to face the window, the city skyline reflecting sunlight like broken glass. I figured this would happen sooner or later. Sooner, she said. He wants to meet Thursday, quietly, off the record. Tell him I'll bring data and coffee, I said. We can rebuild his account plan from scratch. When we hung up, I stared at the phone a long time. 8 years of my work, every client, every contract, every late-night repair call, had built the reputation Dawson Hayes was now losing by the hour. And for the first time, it wasn't grief I felt. It was justice wearing calm's disguise. At noon, Kevin called, whispering like he was hiding in a closet. Blake's melting down. Morrison canceled this morning. Henderson just pulled their renewal. Rick's in full damage control mode. What about Dad? I asked quietly. Hasn't said a word. He just keeps staring at the phone like he's waiting for you to call. I bit my lip. He'll be waiting a long time. Kevin hesitated. Cecile, I've been here 8 years. You built this place. Everyone knows that now. You didn't deserve what happened. Neither did you, I said softly. Hang in there, Kev. When I hung up, my chest felt hollow. Not from guilt, but from finally releasing something that had been coiled inside for too long. By evening, my phone lit up again. Rick Dawson. Then again. Dad. Then a number I didn't recognize. I didn't answer any of them. Another voicemail arrived within minutes. Rick's voice, tight and shaking beneath its practiced polish. Cecile, we need to discuss Castellano, please. You have to help us fix this. I made a mistake, all right? I can make it right. Just call me back. The message ended with the sound of someone trying not to sound desperate. I deleted it. I'd learned some things in the last few weeks. Desperation always comes dressed as apology. Thursday came fast. Marcus arranged the meeting with Robert and Victoria at a quiet restaurant overlooking the river. When I walked in, Robert stood to shake my hand. "About time," he said with a genuine smile. "We've been waiting for you to come to your senses." I laughed. Guess I finally did. Over lunch, we reviewed what Dawson Hayes had failed to deliver: delayed responses, confused pricing, half-finished project specs. All the things I'd used to handle personally. "I don't want excuses," Robert said. "I want results. You're with Web Industries now. Can you guarantee what we used to have?" "I can guarantee better," I said simply. He smiled. "Then consider our renewal moved." Just like that, $4.8 million shifted hands with a handshake. And this time, the name on the contract wasn't forged or forgotten. It was mine. That night, I came home to find Noah waiting outside my building, holding a paper bag that smelled like Thai food. "Dinner delivery, Victory Edition," he said. I laughed, the kind that starts in your chest and feels real all the way up. "How'd you know?" "You always look a little taller when you've won something." We ate cross-legged on the couch, the TV flickering silently in the background. "I got the Castellano renewal," I said. He smiled. "Good, you earned that twice over." Then his face softened. "Your dad called me today." That made me blink. "He what?" "He was trying to reach you, said it's urgent, sounded off." I felt my stomach tighten. "If it's about Rick's meltdown, I'm not interested." "I know," Noah said. "I told him you'd call if you wanted to." I didn't. Friday morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls. Rick, Dad, Rick again. Then one from a local number I didn't recognize. I opened the voicemail. "Cecile, it's me," Dad's voice said quietly. "Your uncle's not handling this well. The Castellano loss. It's catastrophic. Please, just meet me once. We need to talk." I listened twice, then a third time, just to be sure I wasn't imagining the tremor in his voice. Not anger this time, but defeat. I stared at my coffee mug, "World's best daughter," and set it down gently. There was a time those words had felt like a promise. Now they were just porcelain and irony. That afternoon, Rick came in person. "Cecile McMillan," the receptionist said over the intercom. "There's a Rick Dawson here to see you. He says it's a family emergency." I looked through the glass lobby doors. There he was, standing in his wrinkled suit, hair askew, pacing like a man who'd lost control of the story. "Tell him I'm in a meeting," I said. "He says it's urgent." "Then tell him I'm in a meeting that's going to run very, very late." I watched him pace for 20 minutes, check his phone, curse under his breath, and finally shuffle out of the building like a ghost who'd finally realized the living weren't listening. I didn't feel triumph, just peace, a quiet, solid peace that came from choosing myself. Later that night, as I wrapped up emails, a message flashed across my screen. "Lena, DM, congrats on your little promotion. Some of us know how you really got there." I stared at the screen, jaw tightening, then typed, "Some of us don't need to rewrite history to stay relevant." Then I deleted it before hitting send. Because silence, like success, speaks louder than any defense. The next morning, I opened my laptop to an email from Marcus. "Castellano contract finalized. Excellent work, Cecile. I hope you're ready for what comes next." For the first time in years, I was. 6 weeks later, I was standing backstage at the State Industry Awards Gala, palms slick against the edge of my clutch. The ballroom glowed under chandeliers like a scene out of someone else's life. Gold, polished, important. "Relax," Marcus said beside me, straightening his tie. "You're the easiest win of the night." "I don't do well with spotlights," I murmured. He smirked. "You built half this industry's reputation. Time they noticed." When the announcer called my name, and this year's Account Executive of the Year goes to Cecile McMillan, Web Industries, applause thundered through the hall. As I walked to the podium, a ripple of flashbulbs lit the crowd, and there, at table 12 in the back, I saw them. My father, Uncle Rick. Rick's face had deflated into something gray and heavy. Dad sat stiff, twisting his napkin like he could wring time out of it. I didn't pause. I'd rehearsed the moment not for them, but for me. "This award," I began, my voice steady, "is for everyone who was told they were dragging the team down while carrying it." A small laugh from the audience, the kind that says we get it. It's for those who stayed late, who fixed the crisis no one else could, and who were forgotten in the next meeting. Keep going. The right people notice. The applause felt like release. I didn't look at table 12 again, but I felt the weight of my father's eyes across the room, regretful, searching, far too late. Afterward, at the reception, Victoria found me first. Brilliant speech, she said, clinking her glass to mine. I hope Rick was taking notes. Unlikely, I said, and we both laughed. Marcus joined us with a grin. You just doubled Webb's prestige. How does it feel? Lighter, I said, like I finally stopped apologizing for existing. When I finally escaped the crowd, I stepped out to the hotel's garden terrace. The night air was cool, clean, almost merciful. I'd just taken a deep breath when a voice came from behind me. Congratulations. I turned. Lena. She was flawless as ever, draped in silver silk, holding a half-empty glass of champagne. Her smile was sweet, but her eyes had that glint, the kind that said this wasn't a coincidence. Didn't expect to see you here, I said evenly. Oh, I'm covering for a PR client, she said, waving her glass. Funny world, isn't it? You never know whose table you'll end up near. What do you want, Lena? Nothing, really. She leaned in a little. Just wanted to make sure you saw the post I deleted. I raised an eyebrow. The one where you implied I slept my way up? Yes, I saw it before you realized slander leaves a trail. Her lips curved. Just making conversation. You've done well for yourself. Noah must be proud. At the mention of his name, I felt a flicker of warning. Leave him out of this. Oh, I wouldn't dream of it, she said lightly, and handed me her phone. On the screen was a screenshot, a message thread, from Noah. Noah, I'm proud of her. She deserves everything she's getting. Lena, still think about the old days? Noah, sometimes. But that's life, right? She looked at me, waiting for the reaction. It came. Not anger, not panic, just cold understanding. You really came all this way for that? I said quietly. She tilted her head. Funny how men recycle their lines, isn't it? Anyway, congrats again. She turned and disappeared into the crowd, her perfume trailing like smoke. That night, I drove home in silence. The screenshot looped in my head. Not because I believed her, but because doubt is a whisper that loves repetition. When I stepped inside, Noah was waiting in the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, 2 mugs on the counter. You won, he said, smiling. I saw the live stream. I didn't smile back. Lena was there. His face changed instantly. What did she say? I slid my phone across the counter. She showed me this. He read it, sighed, and then laughed. Genuinely laughed. That? Cecile, that's from 3 years ago, before you and I even started dating again. She reached out when her firm lost a client. I told her I'd moved on. I was being polite. Why didn't you tell me? Because she was irrelevant. I didn't think feeding her ego was worth our time. I exhaled, half relief, half embarrassment. She wanted me to believe you were still tied to her. He stepped closer, voice low and certain. You don't measure the truth by what bitter people post. You measure it by what we build every day. And just like that, the whisper of doubt was gone. The following week, an industry magazine ran a feature, From Deadweight to Industry Leader, the Cecile McMillan story. It went viral faster than I expected. My inbox flooded with messages, some from clients, some from old classmates, even a few from colleagues still trapped under Rick's crumbling empire. But one stood out, Dad. Saw your article. Your mom would have been proud. Can we meet? Just talk? I read it 3 times, unsure whether to delete or answer. Finally, I typed, tomorrow 9 a.m., my office. I stared at the message a long time before hitting send. It was time. The next morning, the air outside Webb Industries felt different, sharp, still, as if the world itself was holding its breath. At exactly 9:00 a.m., my father arrived. He looked smaller somehow, his shoulders rounded beneath a wrinkled blazer that used to command boardrooms. His tie hung loose, and there were dark hollows beneath his eyes. Hi, Cecile, he said softly. Dad. We stood there for a long second, strangers wearing familiar faces. I motioned toward the chairs across from my desk. He sat down heavily, clasping his hands together. The silence between us stretched until he broke it. Rick's stepping down, he said. Doctor says it's stress-related, blood pressure, panic attacks. He's not the same man. I nodded. That's what happens when the lies finally catch up. He winced. The company's barely staying afloat. We've lost almost half our clients. Morrison, Henderson, even Apex. Everyone followed you. That's not my fault, I said evenly. That's called cause and effect. I know. His voice cracked slightly. But I'm not here to blame you. I'm here because I don't know what to do anymore. That startled me. My father had never said those words in his life. He looked around my office. The sunlight, the awards, the flowers my team had sent after the gala. "You built something good here," he said. "Something real." "I did," I said quietly. He nodded, swallowing. "Cecile, I was wrong. Every time Rick took credit for your work, every time I stayed quiet, it was easier than standing up to him. But easier doesn't mean right." I felt something shift in my chest, old pain cracking open, not to wound, but to let the truth breathe. "I didn't need you to be perfect, Dad," I said. "I just needed you to see me." He rubbed his eyes. "I see you now. I'm proud of you." The words landed like a late apology, gentle but useless. "You're proud now," I said softly. "But I needed that when you let them erase my name from every report." He nodded. "You're right." He looked up, desperate. "But maybe you can help us. Come back. Save what's left. We could make you partner, give you control." "No." My voice was calm, final. "That company burned the bridge, Dad. I'm not crossing back over ashes." He flinched. "So that's it? After everything?" "After everything," I said. "Yes." He sat there in silence, the kind that fills a room with all the words that can't undo the past. Finally, he stood. "I understand," he said quietly. "But for what it's worth, I am sorry." When he left, I stayed still for a long time, listening to the door click shut. There was no victory in that moment, only peace. The kind that comes when you stop expecting repair from the people who broke you. 3 months later, a courier delivered a manila envelope to my office. Inside, a folded newspaper article. "Dawson Hayes Manufacturing Files for Bankruptcy." I stared at the headline, unmoved. Then I smiled faintly and slid it into a drawer. Not out of cruelty, but closure. Later that afternoon, Marcus knocked on my door. "Got a minute?" "Sure." He came in with a grin. "Robert Castellano wants to triple his contract next quarter, and the board just approved your promotion. Senior Vice President. Partner track officially starts next month." I blinked. "You're serious?" He laughed. "You earned it. I just got off the phone with him. He said, Cecile doesn't just manage accounts, she saves them." For the first time in years, the praise didn't feel like something I had to chase. It felt deserved. That evening, I drove home early. Noah was in the kitchen, humming terribly off-key while chopping vegetables. "Dinner experiment or dinner disaster?" I teased. 50-50 odds, he said, flashing that grin that could melt steel. "You look happy. Did Marcus finally realize you're the reason his company tripled its revenue?" "Something like that," I said, stepping into his arms. "He made it official today. Partner track." Noah laughed, spinning me once before kissing my forehead. "See? The universe finally caught up to you." I smiled. Took it long enough. Later that night, as I scrolled absent-mindedly through my phone, a notification popped up. Lena posted a story. Curiosity flickered, but I opened it anyway. Just a photo of a half-empty wine glass and the words, "Sometimes the truth wins quietly." I almost laughed. For once, she was right. I put the phone down and turned off the screen. A week later, I drove past the old Dawson Hayes building on my way to a client site. The logo had been stripped off, leaving a faint ghost of its outline on the brick. A for lease sign swung gently in the wind. For a moment, I parked and just looked at it, the place that once made me feel small. Now it looked smaller than I remembered. I whispered to myself. They thought I was dragging them down, but I was the one holding them up. Then I started the car, merged into traffic, and didn't look back. As the sun dipped behind the skyline, I realized something simple and freeing. The best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's peace. It's success that doesn't need witnesses. It's walking past the ruins of what hurt you and feeling absolutely nothing but gratitude that you survived. I smiled, tightened my grip on the wheel, and drove toward the life I built from the ground up. Mine, finally and fully.